Listening to the Para House Entertainment Network. Come join us as we take you deep into the fire to the paranormal realms of hauntings, UFOs, ETs, alien abductions, strange creatures, and the vastness of universal consciousness as we continue to seek what is not supposed to exist as we search for the truth that only comes from going into the fire. Hey everyone, and welcome to Into the Fire tonight. It's a wonderful Tuesday night, and we are looking forward to our special guest tonight. I've got Donna Lyn Hartley on, and it's going to be a great show because we're talking about one of our favorite places in Tennessee, Gallatin, and the haunting of the square and all the other stuff. And this wonderful lady has been doing a lot of stuff down there. We'll get to it in her bio. She's been running the ghost hunt for 17 years. She just came out with a new book about the hauntings in Sumner County, historical hauntings there. And we are just going to, it's going to be great. We'll be looking for the chat room to be adding some questions here and this, because anyone who listens to this show knows we got a lot of Tennessee people down there, and they're very familiar with the Gallatin area. So hopefully we'll get some great questions. We've got a passionate historian of that era with us, and has had her own paranormal experiences also. So, Billy and Tonya, how you doing? It's been a week or so since I've seen you. No, I heck, saw you last Saturday, didn't we?
Yep.
And had a great time with Chili at the hall.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And for anybody who wants that, I'm working on that right now to fix some of the audio and video of that. So hopefully we'll have that out, and you can see that on Chili's R&R Live, and also on Into the Far, and on Octagon Hall Museum's Facebook page also. So what's been going on this week?
I tell you what, man, it was a beautiful day today.
Yes, it was.
A beautiful day today. It was a beautiful day.
Nice to see some heat come back.
Yeah.
Be so cold.
Yeah, but you know,
I was able to roll the truck window down, turn the music up a little bit.
Excellent. Well, you know how it is for me, because I'm getting tired of the cold. I'm getting too old for the cold. So when we get to that point now, and it's a beautiful day, and now we're going to have terrible storms coming in and make it cold again, and then hot again, and it's just golly, I'm getting tired of it. We need some consistent weather. But we had a great day. Isaac and myself were out the hall doing a lot of cleanup out there today, and throwing away a lot of trash and stuff like that. So great day. And we're going to have a super night right here, right now. So excuse me 1 second while I did my mic. I got a cough.
What else is there to clean up? I mean, the hall, really?
What we're doing right now is we're into the barns, and we're cleaning up some of the.
There was a lot of balloons.
Next morning. Yeah. You guys used tons of balloons, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, what I'm going to do is let's get the show on the road. Hello, chat room. We'll give you a chance to get warmed up in there and everything else. We sure appreciate you all being here tonight, and let me go into the bio of Donna Lyn Hartley. Donna Lyn Hartley is a fifth-generation Texan who was transported here to Tennessee in 1992. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree in advertising from the University of Texas at Austin, and a law degree from the Nashville School of Law. She has worked for 20 years in newspaper journalism and in public relations. But Donna's true passion is history. She moves to Gallatin and takes a cozy apartment in Gallatin overlooking the most haunted square in America. And later she moves into her haunted home just 2 blocks from the square. Her haunting experiences of activities in this area were unlike anything she had previously experienced. She researched Gallatin's turbulent history and mysteries, which led her to starting the Gallatin Ghost Walk, which has been going strong for the past 17 years on the most haunted public square in America. As Donna and her husband Randy dress in period clothes while touring guests around the square, telling spine-tingling tales of hauntings tied to the history of Gallatin's public square, its ghosts, apparitions, mysterious orbs, and flying cryptids. This now leads us to Donna's new book, Historical Haunts of Sumner County, published by the Historical Press Archive Publishing, which is available March 28th, or you can pre-order it now on Amazon.com. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome Donna Lyn Hartley. Trying to get back in here, Donna. Hi, Donna. How are you?
I'm good, and I'm glad to be here.
Excellent. Fantastic. Fantastic. As we know each other, and I'm going to see if I can get Hound Dog back in here. Hello, Melvin. How you doing?
Hey,
We are excited to have you here. And tell me a little bit about, I read the bio. You move in to Tennessee and to the most haunted area square in the country. In a nice cozy loft, so you think, I'm sure. But you were having experiences throughout that time, right then?
Yes, and we had heard the history of the square, particularly during the Civil War times. The brutal Union commander that was basically making an example of any rebel sympathizer that he could find. He would torture and kill 100 innocent civilians, some as young as 12 and 14 years old, were hanged right on the public square, right there by the courthouse. And in addition, there were 7 to 8 hospitals just off the square. There was a Civil War surgery on the square. That is a place where you're probably not coming out. You're going in with head wounds, and there are stories. Old timers used to tell stories of legends of walking behind the building and seeing limbs off of bodies, cut off limbs, as high as the second-story window, just being tossed out of the second-story window. And so this is a chaotic, brutal time. And you don't have 3 or 4 years of that and residual spirits not be rampant.
Yeah, active and rampant. Yeah, exactly.
Not with that kind of. So here we are living on the square in a loft apartment. Most of the loft apartments on the square, I would say half of them have had some sort of paranormal activity. And one of them, they have seen Eleazar Payne, the brutal commander. They have seen his apparition in their living room, watching them undecorate their Christmas tree. Not anything you want to see. You don't. No. You did not want to see him in 1862, but you sure don't want to see him still hanging around now.
Right. Exactly. And he was a murderous son of a gun, and just did anything that he could to destroy that. And unfortunately, history has been tainted a lot. But the truth about some of the things that the Northern did, it was the same thing up here in Kentucky. We had the same thing in Franklin, Kentucky, where they rounded up people and treated them like the worst things in the world. And that's why our little wonderful quaint town up here is extremely haunted also. There's a lot of places in the South that are related to that. But I must tell you, Gallatin has its own. I mean, its own.
Well, it does. and we don't have major battles here. I mean, when people think of Civil War ghosts, they're thinking about Gettysburg, they're thinking about Franklin. We had one battle here in August of 1862, and it did not result in big casualties. There were some, and we do have people in the Gallatin City Cemetery in Confederate Circle that were killed during that, basically a skirmish. But what we do have is a lot of guerrilla activity, and that's where we get to Crybaby Bridge. You two investigated up there, Melvin, and there. And we have guerrillas like Ellis Harper making raids on supplies and on the railroad, and John Hunt Morgan sweeping in and blowing up the Big South Tunnel. We have dramatic small incidences peppered all over the county, and all of these contribute to the hauntings, along with a whole lot more. This apparently, it's not just a square. This is apparently some sort of portal. I don't know. I'm the investigator. I'm the observer. Y'all tell me what it is, because I thought I was dealing with historical hauntings related to the Civil War. As I got into the book, I started getting stories from Long Hollow Pike of flying cryptids that would, with a wingspan that would go from one side of the road to the other back in the 30s and 40s and into the 70s.
Right.
And and in fact, some believe it is the Cherokee Tlanoa, which is like the Thunderbird.
Thunderbird. Right.
We're not
exactly.
that familiar with the That's Southwest, but we have our own version of the Thunderbird here in this area and along the Cumberland. And of course, the legends are that these creatures lived in the caves and the cliffs and would hunt on the riverbank and pick up small animals and even small children.
Right. Children were definitely one of their prey, you know, and it's very strange because, you know, even back in the old war, and you are into what used to be called, what was it, Transylvania area there, and it encompassed part of Tennessee and Kentucky. And it was very, very strange because at that time, the Indians were always talking about how mysterious and how terrible that area was. And they loved to hunt it because it was a great, rich hunting ground, but they preferred not to. They'd camp in it for a while. They would not hold their housing or anything there for a long period of time, though, because it's just known as bad Juju Land.
They abandoned the area in terms of living here, you know, after the mounds, 1450. Something happened. What happened? Because this land was too fertile, too good hunting. Something happened that they didn't want to live here anymore, and they moved out. And they only used it for hunting. When settlers came, they were fighting the Indians not because they had settlements here, but because they were fighting each other for the hunting grounds.
Right.
Not to live. The Indians wanted nothing to do with living here.
Yeah. They weren't interested in land. They were interested in what grazes on the land.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
Kept their family.
And the settlers wanted both.
Sure.
And of course, we have these incredible mounds in Custodian Springs in Sumner County.
Right. The last time we were up there, they were doing an archaeological dig on it. Currently, right now, I still believe they're doing it. Correct?
Yes, periodically. Yeah. And what they find there are tribes that killed other tribes, and there's a lot of the artifacts there depict intertribal warfare and a very elite culture of, you know, your high-ranking warriors and your very low and, you know, sometimes a very low echelon people being buried with their warrior masters and that sort of thing. It's a primitive culture, but you know that's pre-Cherokee. The Cherokee referred to them, the mound builders, as the ancient ones.
Right, the ancient ones. Right. Yeah, and you know it's strange, and I don't know. I mean, I don't want to get off the topic, but Up here in Kentucky, they have found large giants. I don't know if they've found them in Tennessee or not, in those areas. So that would be something that may scare you off of an area.
Well, and little people. There is
right, exactly.
On the opposite end of the spectrum, there are some little people that have been uncovered.
Right, and the Indians used to talk about the little people, and we have one of those on Nightstalkers Paranormal. His name's Billy. Kind of looks like,
I saw it coming.
But you see, it is not just ghosts here in Middle Tennessee. It is, I guess, as you would say, high strangeness, because y'all know very well when you went up to Crybaby Bridge that you saw orbs, you heard strange sounds. And there was a historical tie-in of hearing Ellis Harper and his men splash through the creek getting back to their headquarters after a raid on a Union camp. So we have it all, and right there in that little bitty pocket, kind of, there it is. It's all there, and that's just a microcosm of the county.
Right, exactly. It's just one small part of it, and it just continues to go around. I mean, all that area from outside of Portland and into Gallatin and around that area. But the Gallatin area seems to be, I don't think I've ever walked inside of any place in Gallatin and somebody has not said that's haunted. I mean, from the Palace Theater, all the way to some of the restaurants, and again, your wonderful ghost tour, which Melvin and I have both been around and everything else, and people just love it. And it's wonderful that you're doing that and putting that on, because it is a historical time. And look, folks, if you haven't been there, every Friday and Saturday you're doing that, correct, Donna? During the summertime,
and mostly look for it fall in October, early November, and occasionally we will do a full moon Friday. You just need to kind of stick with our Facebook page to know when it's going to happen.
Yeah. 17 years.
17 years of doing it in October, yes.
Yeah, and you have seen an awful lot of stuff, and you are very knowledgeable on the history out there. That's one of the amazing things, being able to sit down and talk to you and see it. And that's why we're so happy about your book and looking forward to hearing more about your book and everything else. And that leads me into my next question. So in your book, how did you section your book off? I mean, I know you're going to have history, and I know you also have the haunting in it. How did you do it?
It's all meshing. It all meshes together. Example, the very first chapter is Crag Font, and we have to lay the foundation. We have to lay the foundation of, who built this incredible house and why.
Right.
And we get into the architectural significance, the fact that it was the first masonry structure east of or west of the Allegheny Mountains. This Baltimore aristocrat sails down the river to Indian Territory to build this mansion when everyone else is living in log houses. And a fascinating family. We have to talk about the family and what life was like. Susan Winchester grew up in a fort, which ties into, the settlers and what life was like. And so since this book is published by the History Press, this is all, that's where my historian self and my research background comes in, because this is history, and it's well documented history, but every single thing historic about Sumner County has a ghost story.
Right.
Or a paranormal occurrence. I don't know what you want to say Crag Font is. Crag Font is not just a ghost story. Crag
Font is deep steeped in history and just the
Weird.
Bone of America,
Yeah,
all the way through there. And you have some interesting characters that play a part in all of the history around this area. And also, you have Alicia down there. What was her name? I can't think of it right now. But she goes down into New Orleans trying to sell stuff, goes over to England, basically does quite a lot of things and is heavily involved in
Fairview, Alicia, oh my goodness, Belmont.
Yeah, Belmont. Yes, thank you. I'm sorry. But yeah, and there's another
Adelicia. I can't think of her last name. Anyway.
Yeah. But quite a history, and there's the Belmonts. You've got that whole area down there. You could just get down to Craig Fun, and there's so many things, and it's so wonderful.
And you have Sam Houston. We only hear of Sam Houston, a hero, father of Texas, father of my state.
Yes.
But he had a very unfortunate encounter in Gallatin. He married a Gallatin girl. They were divorced 2 weeks after they were married. We still don't really know why. He had to flee the state. Texas can thank that unfortunate 2-week-old alliance between Eliza Allen, a Gallatin girl, and Sam Houston, ill-fated romance that ended with him being hanged in effigy on the Gallatin Public Square. Chase that took him right out of Tennessee and into Texas history. So just strange encounters, both real and paranormal in this area. A lot of history intersected right here.
Yeah. It's like going the first time that I stepped in it, and thanks to you, we were able to do Jackson's law office down there. It was Sam Houston's law office in that area and all that, and just a pleasure. And extremely haunted building. So there's no place that I seem to be able to walk through anywhere down there where you don't get the feelings of the creeps. Go out and have a sandwich. You go in and have a sandwich at a place, and you're like going, what's that? And when we go together before we do hunts and everything else, it doesn't stop for us because it's always there. Tonya has certain things. I mean, it's like when Billy and Tonya are there and we're all feeling it and we're all going, do you feel that?
Oh, yeah.
Did you see that?
It's the area.
Yeah.
It's heavy here. And, if you're sensitive, it is like, and I am. There's just some days when it's very, very hard to be around it. And I'm right in the middle of it. I live 2 blocks from the square. And and I think Melvin described it to me really well one time. He said, it's like the past is playing in the background all the time. And just every once in a while, you see it.
Yeah.
It's like walking into a movie theater and walking out again. You accidentally just kind of morph into the heaviness and the spirits that are here. They're always here. I mean, I can walk around in my neighborhood and just, real briefly, real quickly. I mean, I've seen a Union soldier walk in the yard next to me briefly, but that's all it takes. And
walking around your neighborhood is
it's a trip.
Yeah. It's just like, golly, don't you have a I think it was an art gallery that is now kind of was a hospital. Yeah,
that's the first time. That's the first time I had any contact with y'all. Was I called there? I don't know where I got your business card from, but we had a flyover of something that we don't know what it was, and it wasn't just me. It was the art gallery manager. We were outside, and something flew over. And we still cannot wrap our heads around it or describe. We don't talk about it much because we can't wrap our heads around it. It's one of those things.
Boy, I understand that so well. We talk about that a lot. People don't really understand it. When you deal with something that you definitely see, there's more than one of you, you're talking about it, and your mind just doesn't settle to it, and you can't wrap it around. What do? You don't want to talk about it, and then every once in a while, someone will bring it up, and you're like, going, still don't know what it is. Still don't. It's like going, I don't know, but there it is, and that's all I can tell you about it. And it gives you that spooky feeling all the way over.
Hey, real quick, Melvin, if you would, I'm going to leave your mic on mute. When you get ready to speak, work it like a walkie-talkie. We're getting feedback, and it's coming from your end, okay?
Can you talk? You got it?
You got to hit the mute button.
Maybe you can't hear.
Melvin.
Yeah, do you see the mute button?
Like musical mute button all night so far.
Yeah, I've been hitting that. So I've been hitting it.
I know. We're getting feedback on your end. That's why I keep muting it. So whenever you get ready to speak, unmute it.
Oh, okay.
And but it's a wonderful time anywhere down in that area. You got to go down there and you're prepared for a ghost hunt, or just to spend a little bit of time in the Gallatin area, because it will wake you up real fast if you have any ability or if you have any thoughts.
The activity is increasing. I have noticed an increase in activity, I would say, in the past 5 years. It did not used to be like this when we started in 2002. We started with some stories about crag hunt, stories about the square, but I like to think that when we started talking about it and we started putting the history around it and started educating people about the history, that's really my motivation. You have to understand your own history. And I am no, sterling paragon of knowing your history or where you came from, because, I grew up in the shadow of the Alamo, a very interesting state with very interesting history, just knew practically nothing about my state. Got really interested in history not until in my 30s, and moved here and became very interested in the Confederate history, the Civil War history. So I'm very big on the history, and found an interesting way to tell it. And at first, that's just what it was. It was an interesting way to tell it, wrap it around these ghost stories. And then it took on a life of its own, because I started, I'm in a place where I'm a sensitive, and I'm experiencing these things nearly everywhere I go. And people are calling me and telling me things that they experience. And there's stuff in the book that's never been told on the tour before, because people just started talking.
Right. And it's happened. People are seeing more and knowing more in the last few years, like you're saying. It's becoming very intense in certain areas. I don't know what's causing it, but something is bringing it out. And I always like to say it like you talking about it when you said that.
Yes.
It seems like they like to hear their own stories, and they want to interact with anybody that cares about that time and is going to tell a historical story and looking for the truth. And when that happens, they seem to run to you, because they want you to tell their story. And if you're one of those lucky, fortunate people that are trying to do what you do and some other investigators do and we do, that you get the opportunity to be in that type of situation where you are, as soon as you walk in somewhere, they know you. You're surrounded by them as you're walking through the area. I guarantee you they're keeping an eye on you and your group as they walk through, going, "Oh, going my way." Yeah,
they are. We've gotten some pretty stunning pictures. I don't believe every picture I'm ever sent, but I sure as heck believe someone snapping something on their phone while on the tour and going, "Hey, look!" And we have gotten some pretty stunning stuff. And the fact that it is just everywhere makes the place we're going to investigate on the 26th that has never been investigated. and has a gentle spirit that only children can see. That's pretty interesting. Who is that? What do they want to tell us? Do they even want to talk to the grown-ups? I don't know. It's a lady, but she only talks to children.
Yeah, that's a very strange thing, when you bring it that way, because when children only see one thing because they're more exposed and open to it at a certain age. And at that point, once it goes away, now some children, I'm going to use Tonya as an example. When she was a kid, it never went away. She still sees it to this day. So she may be able to deal with that, right? Be able to have that kind of insight and everything else. But now
they're not conditioned. Children are conditioned as to what they should see and not see.
Right, exactly. So they are allowed to see a lot more until their brain is conditioned to the point where they challenge it and it just goes away. So. But I'm very excited about February 26th. I've stood in front of that house a few times and always wondered what the heck's going on there. I know Melvin and I've talked about it also. And it is a wonderful place. It's going to be a great event. I don't know. Do you still have tickets available to the event now?
We have a few. We're keeping this. Melvin and I talked about keeping this very small. The way I want to do it. This isn't like a typical ghost hunt. It's a social experience, not experiment. A social experience with other ghost hunters, and we want to keep it small and with very interested people that maybe would not participate in a larger hunt and who want to see it done right and not some television spectacle, which we know we can count on y'all. There's a couple of people, I think, that they've been in your flashier not yours, others. Maybe they've been, and they don't exactly know the breakdown of what really is supposed to happen and go on. And
right.
And the ones that have never been before need to learn the professional way from the get-go and not get
it's always good to be able to come, sit down, look at the equipment, see what it does, and also know, because we all try to experience it. We all try to tell people what it actually does and everything else. And it's so easy for people to get the idea from watching a show or something like that, oh, you mean it doesn't happen that way? And at the hall, I see it all the time. They come in and they just go like, oh, yeah, well, they got it this way. And I go, you don't understand it. You've never been there. You have to experience sitting there watching them set up and some of the things that they do to be able to put a show together. But
I always tell them it's like fishing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you sit there for hours and you don't get a bite, and then other days you do.
Right, you do. And you have to keep coming back.
And see, the people that are there now, they've never had any experience. Some people own it, lease it, have a business in it. They don't ever see a thing. Others have a lot of activity. The ones that have a lot of activity, they had small children.
Right.
And
I also believe that a lot of people have experiences and don't realize that that's what's going on.
They explain it away as to the wind or, animals or just different things.
Or things didn't go the way that they were conditioned to believe that they should.
Mm-hmm.
Right, exactly. So my favorite one is, it's nothing but the house settling.
Right.
One of the things that we try to do, on most of our public events and things like that is we'll ask everybody to look around the room and take notice of who's in your group and who isn't. Mm-hmm. Because we've had experiences where our groups got larger.
Right. And it's very, very quickly, and then all of a sudden,
our eyes.
That pops out right there.
Now, one of my stories in my book that I don't think I tell on the tour, the artist illustrator Jeff Preston from Gallatin, he had a haunted house venue on the square for 2 years, and of course that brought out some interest from the spirits on the square. And one night, somebody said, "Who was that guy dressed as a Confederate soldier that was standing by the front door?" And Jeff's, "We don't have that as part of this scenario, you know." And so that was someone that just happened in, that was did not pay to get in, and was not part of the act. And Jeff, who's pretty witty, just said, "Well, you know, the less special effects we have to pay for, the better. He's perfectly welcome." But, you know, considering in that particular corner there by the Sutterth building, and that's the loft where we used to live right next door, that it's not unusual for people that rent there to see Confederate soldiers in the bedroom at night. One girl that slept in one of the bedrooms in the Sutterth building when it was a pizza parlor and the family was living upstairs, I mean, she would routinely wake up in the night and you know, a man in uniform was tickling her feet, you know, playing with her feet, and then he'd just disappear. So, you know, you're going to see a soldier, you know, from time to time. If you're in a loft on the Gallatin Public Square, you just hope you don't see General Payne. Only
Exactly.
One person,
You know,
I know.
It's also not uncommon to see Native Americans in Gallatin.
I have heard of that out at Hancock House, but I've not heard of it downtown. Oh, Bear, you were at Hancock House and you saw
that happened.
Yes,
at Hancock.
That happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
the child that grew up in that house would routinely report, you know, and at first you think he has an imaginary friend. No, his detail, he had that imaginary friend for a good 8 years, and the detail on what he looked like and how he moved and what he had in his hands and what he brought to play with, that's not an imaginary friend, not for that length of time.
No, definitely not. The Hancock House was just a fantastic opportunity to be able to go through a historical home and to also see some beautiful things. And I got to tell you, later on in the evening, as it wore on, and we were in the back of it, back by the bamboo stuff there. There's some stuff that went on back there that I still can't wrap my head again around.
Did you see lights back there?
Oh,
we had full body apparitions. We had full body voices. We had full body apparitions the following morning inside the house.
And it was so tough to
walking through the house.
Yeah, and what we did is we was kind of like doppelgangers. We would think that we would see one of us walking through the house and say, "Well, that's so and so," and they were in another part of the house, but they would walk right by a doorway, and they were in a totally.
We knew that we were the only ones in the house, so we assumed it was one of us. But when everybody's accounted for,
I mean, I know
somewhere else.
Yeah.
They go to the left, and the one you think it is pops out of the right.
Right.
How did you get over there?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure Bear and I, we all had our own separate rooms, but me and Bear were on the same end of the hall. And I'm pretty sure we both listened to Boots all night long.
All night long. All night long.
Yeah. I've been in that bedroom that used to be their master bedroom up there, the large one right by the stairs at the bottom of the little short staircase up there. Mm-hmm. And women talked all night long. These women just talked. Yeah. And something scratched in the walls. I mean, that could be animals, but the voices all night long, no.
Well, whatever was out in the even out that way is weird. And there are old stories out there too that were quite interesting that we heard about, because it's got a small pond on it. It's got some other stuff around it, but we couldn't get to it because I'll be truthful with you. The last thing I thought I'd see in Tennessee was gigantic bamboo plants that were just everywhere. I was so shocked to see bamboo.
Oh, the bamboo.
The bamboo. I was so shocked to see. Yeah.
They were huge.
Yeah. I mean, they were huge and you couldn't go through them. I mean, it was just like that. But when you're watching and you're hearing voices peekabooing through the bamboo, and then you're watching a full body apparition appear here and there, you're like going, "Oh, you got to be kidding me! We got to get back there somewhere." And it's just like, "Nope, you can't come this way because I can move it." But yeah, I got to ask you.
Is odd, yeah.
Yeah, I got to ask you, and it's a tragic thing that happened there. What is the condition of the home now? What's the deal? What's going on out there? They're going to be able to do anything to be able to save it?
No.
That's a shame. That's a shame. Yeah, because that was a very interesting place and a part of a great piece of history.
Well, you know, just because the building's not going to be accessible.
Oh, I guarantee you the other stuff's not going away. Yeah.
Oh no, that's not going to go away. And
no.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what goes in there eventually, and you know, the kind of issues that they have or whatever, because as we all know, modern construction is not immune from these sorts of things. I mean,
so true. It comes from the ground.
Brand new. Well, yeah, the story I tell of the little Native American boy that appeared in a child's bed. You know, the parents saw it on the baby monitor. That's out kind of by Mansker Station. And yeah, no doubt. I mean, of course, you're going to see some native spirits from time to time. And so, yeah, you're right. Exactly. Billy's right. Those are all around. And that's out there where they see the giant Tonya. I hope I'm saying that.
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
Frankie Lynn wants to know, Donna, have you heard anything about Stone Ridge Farms area? She said she's heard some stories from her apartment complex there.
Where is that? I'm not sure where that is. I don't know about the new construction much. Where is that?
Melvin, do you know?
No, sir.
South on 30. Is it in southern Gallatin, South Gallatin?
Give her a second, see if she'll reply.
Okay.
I know Frankie is going to be at work here soon. But
at the Hunt Club on Nashville Pike.
The Hunt Club, Nashville Pike.
Oh, we'll see. Now that's so close to Hancock House that we're just talking about.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. There could be all kinds of things out in that area. Definitely. I'm sorry, but you know, we're building all these apartments on all of this rolling former farmland, and I don't think we take into account that when we are building on ancient land where no doubt there's been bloodshed, there's been burials. Our history doesn't start when white settlers came from the east after the Revolutionary War. We're talking about tribes that were here a long time ago, right there.
Yes, a long time ago.
And they're under the ground. They're under all these shopping centers, and y'all are gonna have to stay tuned on some of that land this was just farmland, for the last 300 years, but it had a history before that.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you know, and one of the strange things about it is that some of the things, they didn't have some of the laws. So you at certain points of time, they would, it wasn't proper to, they would just move a headstone and start building around it. They didn't pull the graves. They would say they would, but they never did. And Sumner County is famous for it. And Gallatin has a lot of areas in there that did do that. And it's historic that is that way. So
there's quite a number of deeds, large subdivisions deeds that say you can't build a swimming pool.
There are tons of them, and I've been in them. And I'm telling you right now, when you go to one of those, we went to one day, and we were walking around, and I looked down on the ground, and I said, "Wait a minute!" Saw part of like a weird stone, and I said, "You mind if I give me some water and get something to dig with. Let's look at it. We found actually a small little girl's tombstone there, and it was buried underneath the ground. And he was not able to build a pool in his area. And you talk about one haunted house, that was it. They came up on the ground, out of the closets anywhere. So.
The movie Poltergeist is based on a true story. It happened in my state, Texas. It changed. Sure. It's changed Texas law about having to disclose graves on the property and move the bodies with the stones. And that is a true story.
Right.
Yeah.
And as an area like ours develops, you're gonna have some of this. Anybody that's listening to this and is having incidences, go to my Facebook page and messenger me, because I'd like to hear your story. I would like to put it in volume 2. I would like to use it in the Ghost Walk. And it's coming to my mind now, but only because I was told not to talk about this, and the person was so terrified that she would not talk about it because she didn't want to start them up. But out in the Long Hollow Pike area, there's a very old neighborhood where the full body apparitions of the Native Americans in full warrior dress, yeah, were prevalent, and they won't talk about it. They don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. So, well, that it's very odd, and like you said earlier, this is blood-stained area and a lot of energy with blood and everything else, and it soaks into the ground. Plus, we're all on cave systems, and how old the cave systems are and what was in them. And, we mentioned the little people. Well, if you go back in Mammoth and how large Mammoth is, we're all underneath the system of Mammoth Cave, no matter if you're in Kentucky or Tennessee or where you are. The chances of running into it is very possible. And what do they find? They find small, redheaded little things, and they've also found giant people in some of the caves down there. So were these people actually cave dwellers, and did they live down there and socialize and do anything else and come out and wreak havoc every once in a while? Who knows? I don't know, but it's part of our history that is just phenomenal. And
I'm glad you mentioned the caves. We don't get into the caves much on the Ghost Walk because we're so busy talking about the square and Crag Font and historic homes. But the stories of Lackey's Caves, the legend of Lackey's Caves, that they run under the courthouse and they run all the way out to Fairview. And some of that's not legend. Lock 4 was the main entrance to Lackey's Caves. They did run under the courthouse. Some Confederates escaped that way.
Yeah.
When I posted the picture on Facebook of Melvin and Lucas Harper and started talking about Butler Bridge, my phone blew up all day long. You can imagine. People have seen stuff out there for years and years. And one thing somebody brought up that, I don't know if y'all know, but they talked about, he said, we used to play in the caves around there. And I went, well, there you go. I know how y'all feel about caves and how that fits into all this. So in addition to all the crazy stuff y'all saw that night, please know that there's also a cave system throughout there.
Well, it just adds to it because at one point, I will tell you that I looked at Melvin and I was like going, Melvin and I have been around the woods quite a lot and heard a lot of different animals and a lot of different stuff. And at one time, I looked at him and I was like going, Melvin,
what the hell is that?
Was that?
Tonya was just saying last night, it's all fun and games until you hear a twig snap behind you.
Right, exactly. It's funny. Yeah.
The lights going through the woods, and somebody called me and said, we used to see lanterns floating through those trees. They thought it was a lantern light.
Yeah.
And
that's pretty much what they look like. They weren't like fireflies.
Oh no! These were like
infrared camera.
Yeah,
had an infrared camera,
Bouncing
and you
along.
could see them.
Right, very plainly, and they were not. They were on a straight path, and they did some very amazing things. And
That's Alice Harper's myth.
you know, yep. And when you're around, and it's amazing. You can hear that splashing going on too. I mean, and it is definitely. Yeah, nothing down there, nothing around it, but boy, you can definitely hear it because it's definitely happening.
And then in the middle of all that, with all the weird jungle sounds and the lights, and here's a floating mist, going across that bridge, and I mean, Dare said, "Melvin, are you smoking?" And Melvin said, "No."
Yeah, yeah. There's some strange things out there, and it's a wonderful thing. I would love to go down there and close the road off and not let any traffic out there and just sit out there for 2 nights, 2 days, just live out there. Yeah. But I'd probably come back going,
you think it's really
that a lot anyway.
You think it's really that much going on out there? See, I haven't been out there. I don't know.
There is a lot that's going on in that area. And it's so funny when we start to look at it and we take the, that area, it's outside of Portland, Gallatin, here's this, and you got Camp Truesdale all around there and all that area. And you got all the other stuff there. And I mean, that is just rich history, death, all kinds of different things that were going on back then. And, all that area was native area also.
Yeah, sure.
And it just is like going, it's compiled. I mean, it's
there's
like
a lot there to be imprinted.
Yeah. Every square foot you walk at, you're walking over a dead person over there. That's what I look at it.
That's my point. That's pretty much, that's America. If you think
it is.
Because we don't pay attention to the 6,000, the more than 6,000 years. I don't know what. I need to do more studies into Native American studies. But, we don't give enough attention to the prehistory of the land to account for a lot of this that we do not understand. We are not from that culture. We don't understand it. I mean, there is a reason why we're all on podcasts talking about skinwalkers, and the natives have had it passed down. You don't talk about that, but we do. Now, why, we're not in their culture. There's things we don't understand that we're not able to wrap our heads around. But I wanted to say that, has anybody ever looked at a map and drawn a direct line from the Bell Witch Cave to Crag Font? You draw a little triangle and you've got our little portal, our own little hellmouth,
Yeah. And, let me.
Did you pick that up?
Yeah.
What?
I swear I heard we do.
Yeah, I did. I did hear that. It came up. I don't know. I'll have to go back and check the tape. Something definitely.
I definitely heard that.
We can do a whole show on what would happen to me in this house and on this computer whenever I would work on the Crag Font chapter. In fact, I turned in as the cover picture. The first thing I had to do was turn in the cover picture for the book. And I didn't turn in Crag Font. That's on the cover, isn't it? When I got the proofs back, Crag Font has appeared on the cover of the book. That's not what I turned in. That was And I called my editor. I said, how'd that happen? And he goes, I don't really know. It must have been when it went back to production and they just thought it looked better. I went, yeah. You haven't been living with me with my computer. Well, I'll get up. I'll work on a chapter of Crag Font, and I will get up and I'll come back, and it's just this weird jumbly melange on my computer, just all screwed up. And it just stuff happened, y'all. I mean, we don't have time to go into it, but every time I would work on that chapter, weird stuff would happen. And You know, I had to go
I
out
understand.
I had to go out there. Y'all know how I feel about going out there. I don't even like to. I had to go out there to take pictures
Yeah.
4 times. And you know that they go home with you. They will try to go home with you. They could not.
Yeah.
I don't think they could quite break the Bear and Melvin blessed salt perimeter in my house.
But
I think that finally it discourages them, but it does not completely deter them, y'all. I'm sorry to say.
right. Oh yeah. But I mean, may need another dosing. But you know, it's so amazing. You know, like you mentioned, Craig Fun. You know, and I know Craig Fun's in the book. Can you give us an idea what some of the other locations are that are in the book?
Well, y'all know about Rosemont. You have investigated Rosemont. A photograph that did not come out well. You know, when you translate some of these cell phone pictures, try to reproduce them in a book, they don't always work out. But a friend of mine took a picture on the 2nd floor of a mirror, and when it came out, when she took it and looked at it, there was a man and a boy's face looking from the window, the 2nd-story window. So there's some of Rosemont. I mean, because these are all the usual suspects, right? We have Cragmont.
Yeah.
We have Cragmont. We have Rosemont. We have Hancock House, which is not that well known as being having paranormal activity, but we just discussed how much it does have.
Yes.
You know, Crybaby Bridge, the caves,
Right.
the Long Hollow Pike area, along with the very, very historic old, you know, Mount Olivet Road. That is a long-standing African-American community. There's an African-American community there with very, very deep roots. And they are some of the ones reporting the Tonanawa. I can't say that word.
Yeah.
And just random hauntings. I mean, you know, stories from people that were walking their dog on an Easter Sunday, and both she and her mother saw a Union soldier walk out into the road. And, you know, they followed him for a ways to see where he was going.
Yeah.
He just disappears. You know, these soldier sightings are quite common. So we talk about the caves. We talk about along the railroad tracks here in Gallatin.
Oh my gosh! Don't even talk to me about the railroad tracks, because I know where they go and what's going. And I've been to some places on those railroad tracks that even are close to the railroad tracks. And I just go, "Do you know what railroad track that is?"
The railroad tracks, yeah. And I wish I had more from Portland, but to tell you the truth, Crybaby Bridge just kind of encapsulates what's up there. And I know there's more up there, and I want to hear about it. And you know, I want to do volume 2 and write about it. I need some more from Portland, Westmoreland area, because and Hendersonville. But
I was with a lady today. I stopped by a historical society here in Franklin. I was with a lady who does that. She knew that you were going to be on the show today, and she wanted to get in touch with you so that she could talk more about it. And I told her that I would definitely give her your name and give her number and have her contact you or something like that. So you've got a pretty good connection in Portland now.
Yes, and Paula Shannon, that's affiliated with the Historical Society up there, and the library, Paula Lee Shannon, she's been helpful. And you know, things happen the way they're supposed to happen. I've been trying to get stories from up there for years and just can't seem to quite pull it together. But the minute this book started coming out and all the publicity on Facebook and everywhere, now people like I'm saying, well, where were you when I really wanted to put y'all in here? So, you know, obviously volume 2 is in the works because I need some Portland. I'm going to get some Portland. I know I'm going to get some Portland.
Yeah.
And Hendersonville as well. Hendersonville has some pretty.
Oh, Hendersonville's got some great places too. Yeah.
Well, Mont Haven, I never could really connect with those people, but Mont Haven there was a Civil War hospital. You know, all those graves from that hospital are under I-65. They've got some stories. They've got some stories.
Yeah.
So
That's just, I mean, it's amazing. How many, when we take the ghost tour, and the last time I had leg problems, I still have leg problems, so I don't walk very well. I can't, it's hard for me to
I don't
keep up
think
with
you've been on
everybody.
the whole thing. You've been
Yeah,
on
I know. Yeah. But, and Melvin won't carry me for some reason. I don't know why. But, it's, how many stops do you make around there? Because you have a certain pattern and it runs around. It's a wonderful.
well, and it's
to-
not just a square, because we're talking
Yeah.
about font and hauntings out in the county as we walk. But
Right.
as far as the stops we make, what we're standing in front of is not necessarily what we're talking about. But I would say, gosh, Melvin, you've been about 10 times. You've helped me so much, many years. We think we stop about 8 times, 10 times, and talk about. Yeah.
8 to 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thereabouts.
It's just we're not always talking about what we're standing in front of. I mean,
Right.
I talk about Rosemont when we're standing in front of Judge Gill's plaster house, his man cave. And
Right.
he built with leftover bricks from Rosemont, and that's what's right next door to me. And,
Yes.
And there's many a night, especially when the power goes off, and we've had a storm and the power goes off, and it becomes very quiet in this neighborhood. And I have seen lit cigars with no hand attached to them, and the smell of whiskey, horses' hooves, and I am in a little time slip of Judge Gillen's house next door at the end of a busy day on the Gallatin Public Square, enjoying the cigars and alcohol that wives don't allow at home. So I have been in on a couple of those little Judge Gill parties.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. That's some of the greatest things when you can experience the kind of stuff where you have the smells, the sight, all the stuff. That's all part of the paranormal.
I've often found that the energy after storms with lightning and so forth seems to bring it out, especially in this corridor right here.
I would agree with that 100%. I'm sure everybody that's on the screen right now is going to say the same thing, because we've been there. And sometimes, we always like to say, golly, I hope it's lightning storms tonight and everything else. And the other times, if you're already having activity and it starts lightning and you're like going, oh my gosh, hold on to your hat, because we don't know where this is going, because how we could be going into
we have a full moon this week, so wait till the storms come in tomorrow night or whatever, Thursday night. We have a full moon.
A lot of energy, a lot of different stuff coming around right now.
Did you say full moon?
No, Melvin. No, Melvin. Well, Donna, I want to wrap this up, and I want to give you the opportunity. I've got the cover of the book here, folks. Let me tell you something. Great book. And there is a house over here. I don't remember the gate being in front of Greg Fun like that.
Yeah, there's a gate. Now, of course, you see they've embellished it with the tree and all of that, but that's not the picture I turned in, but that's the picture that they
exactly.
They are very vain out there. I mean, they want you to know about them. It's on thetheir terms always.
Right. Exactly.
As you will see in the book, you don't always go out there and call them up. They come when they don't come when called.
No, exactly. No. They if they want to deal with you, then they will come and talk to you if they've got something to say to you, and that's where it is. But it's very it's a beautiful book. It is available for pre-order right now, Amazon.com, and it actually goes on sale and is available ready to buy at Amazon on March 28th, correct?
Yes, and I did not even know there is a hardback version that's not much more than the paperback.
Excellent.
It's interesting. So paperback or hard copy, and I'm taking orders for autographed copies, and we'll have a meetup to distribute those, and that'll be another opportunity to tell a bunch of stories to each other. So people just staying in tune with my Facebook page will see all kinds of things. And Melvin, I tell you, you and Lucas Harper are famous because your picture in the story, the brief synopsis of Crybaby Bridge, had 35,000 hits.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I had my clothes on.
And you were full of
Yeah.
It was raining that day too. That was a day. That was a spooky day. We were out there in the mist and the rain getting those pictures, and about 35,000 hits on that one picture of you and Lucas in the store.
Wonderful thing. And then we also have coming up in February on the 26th here, we've got a great event coming up. You want to go into that and how people can get a hold of tickets, what's left or whatever? I know you're keeping it very tight.
We are filling up, but we're going to investigate a little Central Gallatin 1883 style house, the one where the spirit is apparently a gentle lady that children see and call her the lady. And we're going to do a short investigation there, 7 to 10, February 26th. A few spaces remain, but we're going to have some social hour chatting, kind of like we've been doing here, that involves fabulous food. The lady that is in this house now, she runs her catering business out of this house. So she is going to treat us to some incredible little walking around ghost hunting foods. And a little wine too.
Actually, see, as soon as you said food and walking around, I'm like going, oh, I was smiling.
Food, spirits, and spirits. That's what we're having.
Oh, yeah. There's nothing better than that. Nothing better than that.
Yep. We're just going to get to know each other and find out how you really, really make an investigation happen the right way.
Yeah, it will be a fun event. And look, folks, we'll always look forward to seeing you. And hopefully we'll be able to come on down, get into the event. If you don't get into the event, watch for Donna's ghost hunts, ghost walks. They're wonderful. And look, in the ghost walk business, when you have somebody that's been doing it for 17 years, let me tell you, and they've been successful for 17 years, that doesn't happen very often.
Thank you. It's kind of come as a surprise to me because this is not my day job. It never has been. But, it is a passion, and it has brought me in contact with so many interesting people and places, and of which y'all are all definitely at the top of the list. And I just hope you like the way I described you in the book.
Oh, you wouldn't believe some of the ways I've been described in books.
I wanted people to be able to picture Melvin. Hope you're still speaking to me.
Oh yeah, yep. I definitely will. But it's very, very kind of you, and we thank you so much for coming on tonight. And we look forward to seeing you on February 26th. And on the 26th.
And if people who want to come and we sell out, I'll keep your names. We're going to be doing these hopefully through the summer. Same format. We want people in the community interested in history and haunts to get a little community together, share things, get to know each other, investigate a little bit, but mostly just, enjoy the unique this area. I mean, I don't think there's another area like this where those of us of like minds can get together and never talk about the same thing twice, have we, guys?
Oh, there is so much that goes on in these areas down here that it's not a repetitive thing, man. It's always continuing. Something new is happening all the time. Blows my mind, I'll tell you, because you hear something different all the time. and it's always new and fresh, and it's exciting. It's just wonderful.
Even about Crag Fawn. I mean, somebody called me that's been on the board and has been a tour person. Well, y'all know her. She's been to the hall. And she told me, I validated several things, that I had heard with her. And then she told me some very strange. And so it's just like, it never ends.
Yeah, it never does.
Ends. So
I think they do that to keep us on our toes. When they do something, you go, oh, that was different. Or I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, they definitely keep us interested. I'll tell you that much. Or either the half Looney Tune. But I thank you so very much.
We'll figure out how they engineered getting themselves on the cover of my book when I didn't pick them, but that's a story.
That's a story in itself, right there. They have a connection that came in.
Well, see, I get into electronics. That's the main thing here at my house with the activity has been electronics. So, I mean, I've heard of priests during exorcism being texted by the demon. So they have come a long way from just jumping out of closets. They're now high tech.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I talk about it all the time. And you're around people, Billy and Tonya and Melvin. We have seen it so much, and they use whatever they can. I mean, they have the ability to, if we're on a telephone call, they can come through the telephone call. I've had texts before that are just the most flooring things you ever want to get. And it's just, it's crazy. And they can be in one place and be here in 2 seconds, just that quick. And it is in its own right unnerving sometimes. But they are a very crafty little thing. And as more people do ghost hunting and more people come out to it, as you start seeing, they didn't know what cameras were that were holding in the hand. Mm-hmm. And then, you go there to some places and you listen to your recorder back and you're holding up a camera and they go, ooh, a camera.
Uh-huh.
It's because they're intelligent and they learn. They're never stop learning, and
studies. Now you think when you play this, you will play this back and you will call me and you will tell me that you heard something from this that we are sitting here. I'll be waiting. I'm interested in
I'm pretty sure that there's
3 minutes in.
Yeah, it was pretty on cue too.
Yeah.
So we're definitely going to be checking it out. So, but ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Donna Lyn Hartley. Thank you so much, and best of luck with your book. I can't wait to get a copy of it, and we'll see you on the 26th of February with bells on at this wonderful home that has basically never been investigated before.
It has never been investigated.
So you're getting fresh right off the hoof. It's going to be a very exciting thing, and we look forward to meeting you all that way. And we thank you for coming to Into the Far. Next week, we have our own special 2 special guests. We're trying something very unusual. And if you are into the mediums, and we have 2 of what I consider to be some of the good ones. We have Angel Lee, the spiritual messenger. And we also have Teresa Rose out of Indiana. And they're both going to be doing readings and trying to give you comfort over the airways while we do our show next Tuesday on the 22nd. So don't miss that either. And again, we thank you so much for being here with us. God bless and have a wonderful a week.
Night, guys.